Hi everyone, welcome to MGRE Talks India. I'm your host Pankaj Sharma and we are back after a break with another interesting topic. How to drive growth and increase ROI with the data-driven marketing with our special guest, Mr. Chintan Soni, Vice President, Digital Products and Performance Marketing at Medicine India. Chintan comes with 15 years of experience into digital marketing domain. He heads the digital product and data science division, deploying cutting edge and ad tech and martech products for the client across categories like McDonald's, Pidilite, Abbott, Godrej, Honda, TVS, IDFC First Bank, and many more. He is passionate about understanding behavioral economics using data and analytics, and firmly believes that AI and machine learning as a concept will automate a lot of marketing functions soon. Hi, Chintan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Pankaj. Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Let's start with to understand what is data-driven marketing. A data-driven marketing is a method of marketing that uses data acquired through customer interactions and from third parties to gain a better view into customer motivation, preferences, and behavior. It's a like-in process by which marketers gain insights and trend based on in-depth analysis informed by numbers. In fact, data-driven marketing enables marketer to identify what works, what doesn't, and how to optimize marketing efforts to include the most effective tactics. So Chintan, when we talk about driving growth with data-driven marketing, can you tell me how important it is to have a data-driven approach in marketing?
Yeah, I guess, Pankaj, if you talk about data, it actually immensely helps across marketing funnel. I mean, data not just in marketing, but in every decision human takes, there is some other data which is backing up the decision, right? But in marketing, if we talk about specifically the only task most of the time we chase is that how do we optimize the marketing funnel on our day-to-day basis? How do we drive more effectiveness? How do we basically get more bang for the bucks that we are investing, right? So there is a famous saying in advertising fraternity that half of the money spent on advertising is actually wasted, but we don't know which half. And I guess with data-driven marketing, you can easily find out which half of that 100% is not working. And when you find out which half is not working or which part of that investment is not working for the goals that you're chasing, that gives you the most optimal ROI. So the point number one is that it helps you take wise decision. It helps you take target your audience much better. It helps you know which communication is working. You know the customers beforehand, so you can actually segment them better. It increases the opportunity of doing a lot of upselling and cross-selling of the product. So across the marketing funnel, like I'm just talking about, if it's a top of the funnel task that you're driving, mid of the funnel that you're driving, or you're doing some sort of performance marketing to strengthen the bottom of the funnel, I think it helps. It helps you optimize each stage of the funnel. So that's my take on the like how it helps.
Yeah, as rightly said, data-driven marketing is critical to the success of any marketing campaign. And as you know, it informs you about your customers and get the right information at the right time and each and every stage of the buying journey. And somewhere it's helping them to convert from prospect to customers to evangelists. And as you pointed out that that most of the marketers don't know that where the wastage is happening. So according to the State of Marketing Management report, 82% of the marketers says their executive desires that every campaign measured, but less than that of third can effectively evaluate the ROI of each channel.
Right.
And moreover, only 48% of the marketers are using web analytics tools to measure campaign effectiveness. So somewhere there is a need for investing largely into those analytics and tools, as it is one of the most transformational change in the digital advertising that has ever occurred. Okay, so tell me that in what ways can data help marketers increase the efficiency of marketing campaigns?
So Pankaj, interesting question. I think it depends on what task you are chasing, and I think in across our like a course of this discussion, I'll keep giving you some use cases, some case studies, which actually will bring the insights that I'm giving will come alive, right? So I think recently we were actually launching one of the healthcare brand. It was a pretty big B2B company. They were planning to come into the B2B space. They had like three different products. One, I think, in digestive improvement. One is on the immunity booster. I think one is for the sleep disorder or something like that. Now, when you are basically launching any sort of a new campaign, it becomes really important to do a pressure test, and specifically when distribution is not a challenge. Like if you go online, there is absolutely distribution is not a challenge. You just have to place your product right in the marketplace on your D2C brand or your D2C platform. Now, when you basically launch this kind of product, if you know India, the geographic demographic changes literally state by state. If you talk about it, pretty much within the state, it changes at every 30 kilometers. The first task that we did is that we are launching these three products, which will be the lowest hanging market for me to do to go ahead and actually do a pressure test. And we went ahead, we did some sort of a trend analysis. We found out like if it is a digestive problem, which market is over indexing. If it is something related to immunity or sleep disorder, which market is over indexing in terms of the intent from the consumer. And we actually did this study beforehand, before we started investing money. Again, if it is a fresh investment or first time investment that you're doing across, be it your mainstream channel or a digital channel, the first few weeks are very important, because that's where you chase the efficacy of the campaign. And if you know the data well, you will be able to actually you'll be able to take a wise decision. You will not have to do a lot of trial and error at the same time. And we actually did this entire study. We launched the product in the highest intent area in terms of our marketing. Like, the product was launched across India, but the marketing investment and the force was applied on the area where the intent was at its peak. And we actually saw some instant results. So had we not done this kind of study, I think we would have done some sort of a trial and error, and probably would not have spent the money as wisely as we have done. So I think, point number one, it helps you basically take a right decision. You can know your customers very well beforehand. You know which markets to taste. Also, when you're actually doing campaign on the fly, you can know which communication is actually giving you a better ROI in terms of the whatever metrics that you're chasing, whether it is a lead that you're chasing, whether it is a sales that you're chasing, whether it's a website visit, whatever metric that is important to you as a marketer for optimizing that entire funnel. I think you can granularly design your KPIs and try optimizing that thing. I'll give you one more example. Actually, it's a pretty interesting one for one of the largest property developer in India. I won't be able to take a name, but it was a campaign where we were launching a township project in Ahmedabad, and I'll just tell you how offline data helps basically your online campaign. So through, when we launched the project, of course, it was launched in its normal way, where we did a print ad, where we did some sort of outdoor hoardings and so on and so forth. And, we started seeing a lot of people walking into site to do a site visit and to look at the showcase bed and everything. Now, when we did this, one trend was noticed by their on-site sales team. That most of the people who come to site visit, they were coming in the sedan car. Okay, and we thought, like, why don't we pick up this insight? And what we did is that we actually tied up with one of the largest car aggregator in India, and we told them, saying that, okay, can we target people who are basically taking test drives of this sedan car, ranging between say 6 to 10 lakh rupees. And they said, okay, let us also go back to drawing board and see if we can actually pull out this data. We targeted somewhere around 2 to 3 million consumers with this thing, and in exactly like campaign A/B testing, we found out that the people who where we targeted people in the cohort where we targeted people with a sedan car as a test drive filter, that particular cohort outperformed by 38 to 40%, with the same money,
Wow.
with the same investment, and everything remains same, like no change in the communication. So we wanted to just taste the efficacy of the data. So pretty powerful use case, like, so I think, yeah, it helps basically enhance the efficiency if you read the data well, if you know like where to apply this science.
In fact, these are the perfect example of how to use data for your
Right.
marketing campaigns. In fact, there are 4 areas in your marketing strategy wherein the data can elevate, and this include designing a better marketing campaigns, which you gave in a perfect example. Improving
Correct.
pricing and decisions, like especially
Correct.
those sedan car example of those pricing and decision making, and then
Right.
show personalized content, or improve
Correct.
customer service. So I think
Correct.
these were the like 4 different the examples you gave. It covered all of those 4
Perfect.
aspects of
Yeah.
data driven marketing. So very well said then. So tell me that how brands can convert data into insights, as we see that there is so much of data being collected
Right.
every time. The
Right.
biggest question which comes in, I have the data, but how to use it, how to read
Yeah.
that data. So
Right.
if you
Right.
can
See,
throw
my
some
take
light
on
on it.
sorry, my take on this is that data needs to translate into insight or action. Otherwise, it has, like you said, has no use. And I'll give you again. I'll keep giving you examples to make things come alive. So I think this was a campaign which we were doing in Northeast region for a serum category, hair serum category, and is very under penetrated category. It's not like as big as the shampoo category, or or like any beverages category, which is very well penetrated. So it's a very very niche category. And when you're working in a niche category, driving growth is not like a easy task. And specifically, when you talk about India Northeast, when you talk about India and Northeast as a region for a CPG as a category, it really becomes difficult because the dynamics of that markets are completely different. So,
Mm.
so I'll give you one example here. It was, I mean, I think it was a 2018-19 time when we were actually studying this market. We spent somewhere around 2 to 3 months to study the consumer behaviors, category, how categories actually are taking shape, and so on and so forth. And we wanted to basically, take some leap, because the brands that the brand that we were launching were actually market leader, and you can't literally
Mm.
see that what my competitor is doing. I need to basically take a lead there and do something which is path breaking, or something, something which is innovative in that manner.
Mhm.
So we thought we will actually study consumer very closely. We put some sort of surveys there. We basically use a lot of tools in terms of finding what kind of genres they consume, what kind of content they consume, what is the frequency of their browsing. So we thought, when we did the study, the one thing that was actually popping out very very clearly is that music as a genre was very prominent. And when you talk about music, we said that, like, of course, I mean, music is a thing to ride on, but what in music? We went deeper into it. We found out that there was a K-pop trend which was actually taking a big shape, and a lot of people were spending time, not just
Mhm.
not just they were spending time, but if you look at the trend analysis, the growth was actually completely surpassing the entire music category growth by about 2x or 3x. We thought that, why don't we leverage this insight into some powerful action? We tied up with
Mhm.
some influencers, we tied up with some shows which were related to K-pop music, and we were the only brand to leverage this. And we saw some hard metrics started moving, like your off takes and your secondary started actually moving with this kind of insight. So very very powerful. When we studied the data for almost 2 or 3 months, we thought that, how do we basically ride the trend? We designed the entire marketing communication and the campaign around it, and then we started leveraging it, and it actually showed the impact, not just on the software KPIs like your
Wow.
awareness score or your consideration score, but also on the hard KPIs like the off takes and secondaries and the primaries. Yeah.
Yeah, it is said that by ensuring streamlined data availability and using advanced analytics in the combining new source of data to develop
Right.
proper insights can help you succeed. And this was, one of the example wherein you use your in-house data and, using those influencers to get the more insights and making a campaign successful is something was really great. So,
Correct.
this is a perfect example.
Right.
So what, see, a lot of times the question arises in the marketer's mind that, I am running a campaign. There is so much of data available and there's so many metrics available. So what
Right.
data and metrics should marketer analyze to ensure that, the campaign is success or the launch is success or for any of the situations? Yeah.
Sure. See, okay, it really depends on the task that you're chasing. If my objective is to optimize, let's say, top of the funnel, if I'm launching a new product, on one hand, I can do some sort of performance marketing to gauge the first hand view of how the market is performing. But if my objective is to not just do a performance marketing but create that a large scale awareness, I need to basically look at some sort of input metrics like reach and frequency, how people after basically they see the ad, how they are reacting to the ad. So I think it's really important that you draw the linkage between what is the macro KPI that you are chasing and which are those micro KPI which will influence those macro KPI, right? Like I'm saying that the more engagement, more time spent, more page views will straight away impact my top of the funnel, my mid of the funnel. The other metrics like a click through rate, let's say add to cart ratio will impact the entire bottom of the funnel. So if the first and most important thing is that drawing a linkage between your micro KPI and your macro KPI, then start optimizing your micro KPI, your macro will automatically be optimized. So I think that's how you have to draw the line.
That's, as you rightly mentioned, that defining the KPI is one of the most important element of any campaign. Correct. And without them, marketing teams wouldn't have a clear picture of whether their marketing Correct. Strategy is a success or failure, because as Correct. You said, there are multiple things. So having a balance of macro and micro will be ensure that success happens.
Absolutely. Okay. And you need to draw the linkage also. That is very Correct. Important, that which micro KPI will influence my macro KPI.
Yeah. So, Chintan, given the steady increase in the value of data and data collection, consumers are growing ever more concerned about their privacy. Right. In fact, a new study from KPMG finds that nearly 97% of the US consumers reports that data privacy is a concern. Wow. So, given this hypothesis, how does one balance between data-driven marketing and consumer privacy?
Yeah. I mean, pretty interesting question, Pankaj, and something which is talk of the town right now. So I my take here is that I go with a general thumb rule that everything in a limit is good and anything in excess is harmful, and the same applies to consumer or data privacy. So I guess if we are using data wisely to optimize the ad experience, to optimize the brand experience, consumer experience, it is fine. If I'm, let's say, if I'm in market for some sort of interior work, if I'm in market to buy a new car, and if you're showing me relevant ad, and if you have taken my consent to show me the ad, I'm perfectly okay. But I think there also, you need to start drawing some fine lines in between, saying that you need to use tools and tactics very well. Let's say if the person is not taking some sort of action after 12 to 15 repetitive exposure, then that person is naturally not interested. So you need to monitor your the frequency per user, how basically that is panning out. If it is going in excess, probably you need to tweak your input in a way that the person is not exposed more than 5 times or 6 times in a given week or in a given month, right? So that is number one. And I'll just give you one very recent example, which usually happens with us day to day. So I was actually looking for a mattress for one of my relatives. He said that, give me some recommendation on the mattress. So I literally thought that I don't want to get followed. So I opened incognito and I actually searched mattresses and gave some recommendation. The next 1 hour, all the mattresses ad actually started following with me. So that actually I thought is little creepy, because I was I consciously chose incognito mode from so browsers or basically the like the ad consoles do not track me, but it actually because I was actually browsing from my phone, they detected my probably device ID and they retargeted me with that. So that was little creepy. Of course, I mean, being on the marketing or wearing marketing head, I can't complain that, because on the other side we probably would be doing the same thing. But of course, when I do any sort of campaign, I take care of user privacy, and I give utmost importance to user privacy. All the assets that we actually develop, we make sure that we take prior consent of serving them personalized ad. If they opt out, we make sure that those users will never ever get to see the personalized ad again. So those kind of filters we do keep in mind when it comes to privacy, and I think every marketer needs to be very very careful. Second most important thing I would like to talk about data privacy is that how you are taking care if you are basically into a business where you are collecting large set of PII data of your consumers. You need to be very very careful. There have been recent cases where a lot of data breaches happened for largest QSR brand. I mean, it was there in the news. I won't name it, but that actually shakens the faith that we put into a brand. Like I will be twice concerned or twice careful before I give my data to any such of brand. So I think your security of the data from this infrastructure point of view becomes really really important when it comes to data privacy. Yeah.
Since you were talking about that incognito thing and what happened with you, so somewhere there is another burning question about cookies dying, and recently Google announced that
Yeah. Right.
they will continue to keep the cookies till 2023. So cookie has been as one of the most important source of data,
Right.
and since we are moving towards the cookie-less environment, what do you think? What are the other alternatives available for the marketers?
Yeah, so Pankaj, my take here is very simple. I think it's a wait and watch game, to be very frank. See, the effectiveness in the ads that you are seeing and the kind of growth. I mean, if you look at least India, the entire AdX, digital AdX is growing by 35-40%. Even during pandemic, where rest of the mainstream AdX degrew, we grew by somewhere around 10%. So we actually, we have outbitten the entire AdX. Like I'm talking about digital as a domain. Yeah, the reason is that every day by studying the data, the machines are getting more smarter in terms of serving right ad, right consumer at right time. Now this has not happened over the like just last 1 year or 2 year. It has happened after like studying petabyte of data over the decades. Now where and the cookie was like the when you talk about cookie, it was like the primary a binder between data insights and the kind of ad you actually serve to this consumer. Now when the entire cookie gets deprecated across system, of course it is going to impact the ad industry to large extent. And it's not just the marketers who are actually worried, but also these big giants, because the moment actually you see the effectiveness of the ad crawler dropping, the long tail of the advertisers will start dropping immediately. And you have actually seen after iOS 14 update, a lot of long tail advertisers in US and UK have started seeing the drop in their efficiency metrics. Yeah, so I think to me. Of course, all these big giants like Google is trying with something called Flock. There are some other trade desks which are trying a different methodology to make sure that they are actually compliant with new norms, where they don't collect the data at individual level, but they will collect data at a cluster level. Now, my take here is that when these clusters are actually small in size, you don't get too much, the machine do not get too much of the learning. But if they are fairly large in the size, the effectiveness will be still maintained. But if they're too small in the size, that's where I need to basically, literally give my idea and say that whether it is really effective or not. And to me, the time will only tell the truth. But my take here is that I think by the time Google actually completely deprecates the cookie, the machine will recalibrate themselves to make sure that the effectiveness doesn't drop to that great extent. Yeah.
Yeah, insightful. I think this is leading to a lot of innovation, as you mentioned about the Trade Desk
Correct,
and
correct.
other, Google also testing some of the products.
No,
Recently, MGID also launched a contextual intelligence solution. The product allows advertisers to effectively deliver ads across MGID's portfolio of thousands of publishers in the most relevant and appropriate environment with no
right,
third-party cookies required. And
right,
this is
right.
largely on the contextual advertising and keyword, a lot of science and data which is being collected. Uh, so when we talk about data and we don't talk about storytelling or personalization, uh, so tell me what in your view on the new data-driven storytelling? So personalization, storytelling using data insights.
See, I think be it in form of some mythological tales that or any basically historical event, I think storytelling has been part of like the entire marketing fraternity. And to put it simply, data storytelling is the communication technique that it involves three key things. One is how you are collecting the data, what visuals you are producing, and what is the narrative that you are trying to tell. I think if you basically study the data well, the visuals will come alive automatically, and your narrative will be that powerful. And you can then measure whether it is well received, retained, and acted upon or not. Of course, I mean, there are a lot of, like I said, there are a lot of micro KPIs that you can actually put into things and make sure that the storytelling is done in right way. There are a lot of ways you can actually use storytelling in digital. Specifically, you have sequencing with a lot of DSPs that you do. So let's say if the person has actually seen your ad for a 30-second, and if he really liked, I mean, that means that he has definitely liked the ad content. Now, if you want to tell the part two of that story, that can be easily done because by using this kind of sequencing and frequency technique, you can easily tell the story like a long story in multiple formats. So I think, yeah, if you use data, tech, visuals, and your narrative together, you can really make data storytelling, like a powerful thing. Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, we have seen some of the great innovations from an agency. In one of the time, like during my Times Internet days, we implemented one solution wherein we used a lot of data insights and sending out real-time communication or messaging based on the weather, based on the working patterns of individuals. So the
Correct.
data can do a lot of wonders in that. So
Correct.
there are many of our viewers come from different walks of life, and different marketers are there. Some tips you would like to give them to increase the ROI with the help of data-driven marketing. As you are a data expert, so
Yeah.
some tips will be really great.
Yeah, so I'll give a very, very, I mean, I'm not going to give any technical tip, but I think this three or four thing which I actually do on day-to-day basis really helps me optimize anything that I do. So one is that I know my KPI well. Like before I basically start investing even 100 rupees, even on the marketing campaign, I know that what I'm chasing. I cannot be chasing 5 KPIs at one time. I need to basically decide my primary KPI well before I start the campaign. So be it, let's say, for example, in one of the QSR brand, of course, they give us the target. They give us a target that I need to get maximum sale out of day-to-day spends that I do on digital. So I mean, while your desks are designed to basically drive sales also, but what happens is that when you basically straight away go ahead and launch a campaign to optimize the last leg of the funnel, often you will not be able to drive scale. And for a large QSR brand or large categories, the scale and efficiency both are very, very important. So what I do is that I actually break this entire into micro KPIs, which will influence my last mile sale. And I just focus on optimizing that initial thing. So it could be my install, it could be my install to registration ratio, it could be my registration to add to cart ratio, or anything like that. But I just focus on that thing, and like if I optimize that one thing, my end KPI will always automatically be met, right? So that is one thing. But of course, I mean, it doesn't happen in one go. You need to do a lot of A/B testing. So the tip number two is that do a lot of A/B testing with not just with the communication, but with the own asset experience, right? So we look at like how people are behaving. We do like a two version of the homepage. We see that which version of the homepage is actually working, which not. We also within add to cart, we basically literally change the color of the button. So a red button versus a blue button, how does it actually changes the consumer behavior. So do a lot of A/B testing till you find your sweet spot. I think it needs about 3 to 4 months time to study this consumer behavior across your communication, across your assets and everything. And I think the last tip I would like to give is that monitor and be agile to take decision. Like, you might have thought of that this particular set of communication or this kind of product or this kind of experience will work. But if it is not working, be agile. In digital, you have that flexibility, you have that agility to change the things on the fly. In mainstream media, it's not so easy. The moment the print ad has been finished, you really can't do anything. The moment you have basically broadcasted your ad across TV channels, there is little that you can actually change. But in digital, it's literally like every hour you can do a monitoring, and every hour and probably you can change the input metrics or your input efforts. So these three things: know your KPI well, do a lot of A/B testing, and monitor and be agile to take and change the decision. Yeah.
In fact, very interesting. What happens is in the real world, when we see that so much emphasis is given on performance, we don't actually notice or give value to the small thing which happens. Maybe your end objective is sale, but user has come and he has spent some time. Can I run a retargeting or remarketing campaign?
Right.
Maybe this product is not suitable for me. Can I do a cross sell? Can I sell him a different product? Or can I do a customization? So, it is said that, whatever money you spend on the digital world is never a loss or, is a complete. There is something out there for you. But as you mentioned, that you need to be agile enough, do a lot of A/B testing and try to get the best out of those every dollar which is spent on the marketing.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
It was a wonderful, experience to have you with us. Thank you so much for your time. And it was like a lot of insightful. I am personally taking a lot of, insights and studies with me.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, the pleasure is mine here. I mean, it's really great to be on this platform, Pankaj. Really great. Thanks.